Here is everything I eat in a day to get more than enough calcium on a plant-based diet. If you're new here, hey, I'm Healthy Emmie. I'm a nutritionist, a weight loss specialist, a holistic health coach, and the creator of Slim, the all-inclusive platform for mastering your ideal weight on a plant-based diet through customized meal plans, workout plans, daily journal sessions, meditations, and more. Click the link in the down bar to learn more about that. Are you getting enough calcium is the question here today, but an even more important question than that is, are you getting enough vitamin D? Because it's not just what you eat, it's what you absorb. And you could be eating all the calcium in the world, but if you don't have enough vitamin D, then you're not going to be absorbing that calcium. Especially if you are on a plant-based diet and you're not getting much vitamin D at all from your food, you're going to be in trouble. It's estimated that about 40% of Americans are low or deficient in vitamin D. And in certain populations, in certain parts of the country, it's even higher than that. Especially if you live somewhere like I do, Boston, Massachusetts, where we don't see much of the sun. And where do we get vitamin D? From the sun. I wouldn't be surprised if you went to your annual physical this year, they tested your vitamin D and it was low. They'll say, everybody's is low. Okay, so we should supplement with it. You may know that I created a vitamin B12 supplement and it's the cleanest one you're gonna find. And I created that because my clients were asking me for a clean vitamin B12. I couldn't find one, so I created one myself. I had been asked time and time again to recommend a vitamin D3 supplement, and I couldn't find one that I was willing to recommend. They were all gross or they weren't vegan because vitamin D3 usually comes from non-vegan sources like sheep's wool. So what did I do? You know it, baby. I created my own. I am so excited to announce the debut of my vitamin D3 supplement. Just like the B12, it is no oils, no sugar, no gross stuff, no GMOs, no unnecessary fillers, clean, vegan, premium ingredients. The cleanest one you're gonna find. So please, for the love of goodness, let's make sure that we are absorbing all of the calcium that we're gonna eat in today's video by supplementing with vitamin D3. Why D3? Well, there's D2 and there's D3. D3 usually comes from animal sources, and the bad news is that D3 is the one that's gonna actually be better at raising your vitamin D levels as opposed to D2. So for people on a plant-based diet and vegans, that's tough. Until now, I've got you covered. Here is your new vitamin D3 supplement. You can click the link on the screen or in the description bar to get yours today. Don't risk it. Not only is vitamin D so important for a plethora of reasons, hello seasonal affective disorder, but also in relation to today's video, in order to absorb calcium, you must have adequate levels of vitamin D. Get your supplement. Now we are going to get into some FAQs about calcium, and then I will tell you everything that I'm eating. Why is calcium so important? As we know, it keeps our bones strong, it keeps our teeth strong, and then it has some other benefits as well. Calcium is also important for making sure we have proper muscle function, nerve signaling. It even helps our blood clot when necessary. So without enough calcium, our body, our bones are gonna struggle to function properly. Say goodbye to osteoporosis, say hello to calcium and vitamin D. What happens if we don't get enough calcium? If we don't get enough calcium from our diet, our body is going to start pulling calcium from our bones, which leads to osteoporosis. How much calcium do you need? The general recommended daily intake is around 1,000 milligrams. It's gonna be different depending upon if you're a little bit older, you wanna make sure you get a little bit more. So if you are at risk for something like osteoporosis, especially for women post-menopause, you're gonna wanna make sure you get a little bit more calcium. Today's day of eating is gonna exceed that tremendously, so follow what I'm eating today. Let's start out with first meal of the day, my zucchini oatmeal. I have this every morning, so all I do is I take an entire zucchini and I use a cheese grater to grate it up, put it into the bowl, I put in a cup of oats, I eat a full cup of oats. Now let's talk about the liquid of choice. If you wanna make sure that you're getting enough calcium, calcium fortified milks are a great option. Here's the thing though, it's gonna be tough to find one that's calcium fortified that doesn't have a bunch of junk in it. I put on my thinking cap, I went to Whole Foods, and I looked at every single milk in that building. There are shelf-stable milks, and then there's refrigerated milks. I looked through all the shelf-stable milks, and I found that if they were really good with ingredients, they unfortunately weren't fortified with calcium. So, I love the Eden soy because it's only one ingredient. I love the Elmhurst because it's only one ingredient. But unfortunately, they're not fortified with calcium. And if your aim is to get enough calcium, you're gonna wanna get a milk that does have the added calcium. So, I found a great one. Let me show you. I found this at Whole Foods, and this is gonna be the one you're gonna wanna choose. It is the Oatly low fat. It doesn't have a bunch of junk in it. They don't add sugar and oil and yucky yucks. So this is the one you wanna get. 1 cup of this provides 25% of your daily calcium needs. So if you're using 2 cups, you've already got half of your daily calcium needs knocked out. So 2 cups of the oat milk is gonna get you to 700 milligrams of calcium. The oats are about 60, 8 ounces of zucchini, which is about how much a normal zucchini is 30 milligrams. Then I always put some almond butter on top. A tablespoon of almond butter is about 40 milligrams. Tablespoon of ground flaxseed is 25, and a little bit of banana, which isn't gonna do much. But in total, we are looking at 860 milligrams of calcium. Yeah. The way that I cook this is like I said, grate up the zucchini, add in the oats, add in your liquid, and then I add in some cinnamon. Then I put it into the microwave for about 5 to 6 minutes, stir it all up, and then I add in my flaxseed. I also like to add in peanut butter powder because I like the taste and the consistency that it gives to the oatmeal. Then I put my almond butter on top and put some sliced bananas on top, and usually a little bit more cinnamon. I prefer to use quick oats personally. I just really like the consistency of them. You can use any type of oats you enjoy. Next, for my Healthy Bowls cookbook, I'm doing my Asian Green Bowl. The Asian Greens Bowl, not the Asian Green Bowl, the Asian Greens Bowl is a great source of calcium. Greens are known to be a good source of plant-based calcium. So I'm starting out with wild rice as my base. This is about 1 cup of cooked wild rice. You can use any grain of choice here. You could use quinoa, millet, farro. I like the wild rice. Now I'm gonna add in a bunch of vegetables and some legumes, and you can cook these however you want to. You can steam them, you can roast them. I like to do a variation. So sometimes for my Brussels sprouts, I'll cut them up and I'll put them in the oven at 400 for about 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll steam them in my microwave steamer. You can cook them according to your desires. There are my Brussels sprouts. If you heard that, my Brussels sprouts are in the oven right now, along with my squash, my tempeh. Anyway, back to the program here. That's what I love about the Healthy Bowls cookbook is you get to cook it based on your preferences. So I threw in 1/2 cup of edamame, 1/2 cup of broccoli, 1/4 of a cucumber, 1/3 of a cup of green beans, 1/2 cup of Brussels sprouts, 1/2 of a block of tofu. This is another thing that you want to be very cognizant of. If you are using tofu as a calcium source, you have to make sure that it is calcium fortified tofu. Sometimes they don't add the calcium to it. Sometimes they add magnesium chloride as opposed to calcium chloride, in which case you won't get the calcium. There's my timer. So just make sure that the tofu that you do get does have the calcium. And if you use 1/2 block, that's 350 milligrams of calcium right there. Adding in spinach and sesame seeds. Let's total this up. Edamame, 50, broccoli, 30, cucumber, 5, wild rice, 5, green beans, 20, Brussels sprouts, 30, tofu, 350, spinach, 30, sesame seeds, 90. Overall, we are above 600 milligrams of calcium for this meal. Now let's move on to a bowl from my Healthy Lunches cookbook. This is the Autumn Ember Bowl. It is so delicious. Starting out once again with a base of wild rice. I use about 1 cup. Then adding in 1/2 cup of butternut squash. I just roasted this in the oven. I pretty much cook everything same temperature and just cook it until it's done. So I throw it on Silpat at 400. Handful of kale steamed. 1/2 cup of Brussels sprouts. 1/4 cup of pomegranate seeds, which are now coming into season. 1/2 block of tofu. And the dressing that I used was a peanut butter base. So let's add it all up. The rice is 5, butternut squash is 40, kale is 50, Brussels sprouts are 30, pomegranate seeds are 10, Tofu is 350, peanut butter is 20, making the total over 500 milligrams of calcium. So today's total is over 1,600 milligrams of calcium, no problem. And remember, to make sure that we absorb it, you gotta take your vitamin D. It's available somewhere here on the screen. If you made it to this point of the video, I want you to comment strong, because you got some nice, strong bones and teeth from getting enough calcium and enough vitamin D. Remember, you can get your vitamin D. It is linked in the description bar so that you can absorb all of this great calcium that you're eating. If you like this video, you're gonna love the next one that pops up on the screen, another What I Eat in a Day video. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next one.